What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. Well, my guy here, Rico No Suave, host of the talk show, the Rico No Suave show. Man, you guys better be ready. Strap into your seats because you're going to be busting out of them seats anyway. But we have so much positive energy going on here. You already know how we do on the Weekly Dose of Dano show. But Rico, what do you have to say to the positivity posse before we get started for today?
You know what? Everything is all about hard work, everybody. And once you do hard work, you can actually play hard as well, too, when you make your adjustments in life. And when you also get to that success level for you is just a milestone. You got to celebrate it. Every time you reach that milestone, it's time to keep celebrating and then continue to work hard as well, too. Yeah.
You guys see what I'm talking about? So if you're excited about making these personal changes and talking about what Rico did in order to get to the level where he is right now, you got to like, share, comment, do whatever you got to do to raise your vibrations because it's time for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. Let's get it, everybody.
Basically, it's about keeping our families together.
God bless this organization.
Through the valley of the shadow of finale, I will never feel no fear. First the reaper gotta catch me. I don't care who got the next crown. I'm the true and living right now. Thought you lived to see my last breath? Go ahead and put your best down. Run with the wolves and we unify. Hungry enough to eat you alive. We never breaking formation. I live and die for this crew of mine. Been to the bottom, dehumanized. Found my divinity through the fire. Pushed through it all and I stood tall. That's cause a legend can never die.
Go, man. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV here Thursday, April 13th. Like I said, you guys are in for a really great treat because Rico's story is very inspirational. And just to hear, all the things that he's got going on, because I know as a fellow TV show host myself, it's not easy. And I don't really even tell you guys about all the, kind of the hardships or things that we got to go through. So, we're going to be hearing about it from Rico's perspective. So it's going to be a very great show. Like I said, like, share, do whatever you got to do to raise your vibrations. Because as we already know, once we are operating from a high place and having that high vibration, which is love, enlightenment, or whatever it is that you want to call it, great things will happen in our 3D world, and we will experience it in the form of people, relationships, opportunities. It can be a new house that you wanted or a car, whatever it is that you're looking for, it will happen for you as well. So I'm really excited for today. As you guys already know, there's nowhere else that I'd rather be in the world besides here with my positivity posse, because like I said, without you guys, this would not be possible. As I always say, I would just be talking to a camera in front of a computer looking like a lunatic if it wasn't for you guys as well. If you're watching live or on the replay, wherever you're watching from, please drop a hashtag positivity posse. So I know you guys are rocking with me, that you're there, and this is going to be a very interactive experience. It's not just us, coming on to share our story, which yes, that's a part of it, but your engagement and your questions and your positive energy and your comments all play a part on it as well. Let me just focus this camera up real quick. There we go. It looks a lot better. Looks a lot great. This is what we need. So before we get Rico onto the show for today, you already know what we got to do. We got to do two things. Let me look at these comments real quick, because I know y'all blowing them up in the comments right here. My guy Manooch, hey yo, Positivity Posse, what's going on? You have a secret admirer. Here you go. Hi, handsome. There you go, Manooch. I guess we're matchmaker for today. Lou, my guy, hashtag Positivity Posse. Thank you guys for dropping this wherever you're watching from. I'm so excited for you guys to be here for today. Shout out to Beatrice for making this happen as well. Huge key role in making it happen. So thank you, Beatrice, so much for this great opportunity. And I'm so excited, very excited. So let's get started. We got a lot to cover today in such a short amount of time, because you already know the hours that we do have the show go by so quick. So we're going to do the affirmations for happiness for today. You already know what this is. Every time we open up, or maybe you don't know, let's say it's your first time watching. Every time that we open up the affirmations for happiness, it always, every single time, relates to what we're going to be talking about for today. And I always open up to a random page, and it always hits it on the mark. So let's hear what it is for today. All right, we're going to do number 103. Today is another opportunity for happiness. No matter what happened yesterday, last week, or the year before, today is a brand new slate. I've been blessed with yet another chance to enjoy, play, create, and love. Every moment is new. I can choose joy at any time. I really love this one a lot, because it really talks about the power of the now. How, like you heard earlier, it doesn't matter what happened in the past. It's not going to matter what happens in the future. If we just live in the now and we find the happiness to say, okay, at this very moment, I don't have any bills to pay, or I don't have any people that are messing with me, or, I'm in good health. We woke up today, which is another big one. There's so many reasons to be grateful and to be happy. So live in the now, because once we live in the now, we'll be able to appreciate things more. And Rico, I want to talk about something that you said earlier too, which is so important. When you live in the now, you can start to celebrate all the accomplishments that you have made. Because think about it, if you're just always rushing to the next thing and to the next moment and to, oh, well, I wish I were somewhere else, and not enjoying where you are right now, then when those victories and celebrations do come at that time, how are you expected to celebrate those moments? You're not going to learn that skill and cultivate it to feel that, feeling of gratitude and the high vibrations. So like I said, enjoy the now. And Rico, when you come on, we're going to be talking about that, how you really focus in on the moment of the now. But one more thing that we got to do, we have to play the street segment for today. Yes, I'm so excited about this, because the weather's starting to break, and I'll be able to go back onto the streets of Philly to go, chop it up with the people and ask the questions that you need to hear. So here it is, everybody. Enjoy the street segment for the week. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Dano, television show host of Weekly Dose of Dano TV, and you already know what we're doing for today. We're going around the streets of Philly, asking everybody the questions that you need the answers to. Let's get it. Sir, what's your name?
Wayne.
Can you tell us about one time that somebody did an act of kindness for you that you'll never forget?
A police officer did. One day they saw me running for the bus, and they told me to get in the car, and they helped me catch up the bus, and I got to work on time.
And why is that the first thing that comes to your mind? What's so special about that story?
Because that's the second time a police officer gave me a ride in the car. The first time the police officer gave me a ride to church. So there's a lot of people out here do a lot of good. And I know the police officers do a lot of crazy stuff, but you got a few bad apples, you can't put them all in the same boat. There's a lot of good natured people out here in this world. There's just a lot of crazy stuff in between, that's all.
Name?
Olivia.
Can you tell us about an act of kindness that you'll never forget?
I don't know. Is it bad that I can't think of one?
No. Or what about, we can switch it up. Can you tell us about a time that you did an act of kindness for somebody?
The only thing I can think of right now is when, you let someone like pass you on like the road. Like driving, I don't know. Like when you're nice to someone on the road, I feel like that's the nicest you can possibly be is when you're like nice to somebody driving like the highway.
And why do you say that?
Because people are the worst on the highway. So.
What's your name?
I'm Ellie.
Can you tell us about an act of kindness that was done to you that you'll never forget?
I guess this one, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. This happened to me in high school. I had like a horrible day. It was like the longest day of my life. So much homework, so much stress. And I think my friends knew that I was going through it, and I didn't really ask them for help, and I didn't really tell them what was going on. And when I got home, they had gotten me takeout from my favorite restaurant, and it was just waiting for me there. And they weren't even there because they knew I was overwhelmed, but just them doing that for me without me knowing really meant the world.
And why does that mean the world for you?
I think just knowing that your friends have your back and they know what you need, even when you're not prepared to say it, that support really meant a lot to me.
What's your name, sir?
I'm Daniel.
Daniel, I'm Dano. It's nice to meet you. My man, give me one of these. Can you tell us about one act of kindness that was done to you that you'll never forget about?
Yeah, an act of kindness that was done for me was when my dad called me last week, and I really missed my dogs, so he sent me a FaceTime video of my dogs playing, and it was really nice. It was heartwarming, and especially because I haven't seen them in a few months, it really made my day. And I'd like to do that for someone else one day who hasn't seen their dogs in a while.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Wait, can you give him my card for him?
There you go. This is for you too. This is meant for somebody for today.
It's specifically for him. I feel all the energy coming in.
Thanks. Thank you.
What's your name, sir?
I'm Ben.
Can you tell us about an act that was done to you that you'll never forget?
I think one that I'll never forget is I had like this homework assignment that was due in a day, and I just didn't know how to do anything. And it was like bedtime. It was like probably 12:30 at night. I like literally woke up my friend. I was like, "Can you please help me?" And he like stayed up with me for like 3 hours, just teaching me everything, helping me, just purely out of the kindness of his heart. So I'll always remember that.
Everybody, that was the street segment for the week. Let me know what act of kindness was done to you and how it made you feel, and all the great things that you felt, because we want to hear about it here on the Weekly Dose of Dano platform. One more thing, I'm going to make this quick because I know I said one more thing. I'm not going to keep moving the goalposts. It is just one more thing, I promise you, before we bring Rico on, because I'm really excited about it. So here it is. It Takes a Village Housing on April 29th is going to be having a spring fling. Here is some of the information if you want to take a screenshot. Here's one in English and one in Spanish for you, whichever language you prefer. But we're going to have a bunch of vendors going out. I'm sponsoring this event, and I'm also going to be the MC for the outside event. There's going to be a lot of people there just coming together for their community, just to learn about the different resources that are available that you might not have known about in the beginning, or just to give you guys some extra game, some free ideas, or whatever it is that's going on. So I'm going to be the MC for that. And I'm going to, film everything and chop it up, make it all nice, and bring it for you guys here on the Weekly Dose of Dano. And you know what? Why don't I just do a street segment there? Look at you guys, the Positivity Posse, just giving me a great idea. Look at that. It just all works together. So without further ado, it's time to bring on Rico No Suave, which I really think my guy is suave in the building. Smooth, intelligent, man. You guys, I'm really excited for you to experience it. Like I said, he has his own talk show, so you guys are about to be in for a really great treat. Whatever questions that you have, drop them. Whatever you're doing right now, stop, drop some fire emojis in the chat, and please give a very warm welcome for Rico No Suave.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it, man. Hey, I had to take a little dose of Rico No Suave myself. I said, my man Dono on the other side, I said, let me take a little dose of that as well, too, before I get started,
Yeah.
So, man, thank you for inviting me, man, to the show. Mi gente, ¿cómo está, mi gente? How you guys doing out there? I am super hyped to be here, man. Thank you for the invitation, Papa.
Oh man, you're stepping in and you're being the hero for today, because some things don't work out the way that you think they are, but
Yes,
everything is meant to be that it's meant to be. So thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah.
Rico, man, talk about, what we talked about earlier,
Sure.
being in the present moment, and how has that helped you with your television show or just everything that you have going on in your life? What's the importance of living in the moment?
I have to say every moment in the past was living in the moment until today. The one thing you have to understand is that when you're starting this, and I kind of started this is my 5th year, también. So this is my 5th year. So going 5 years, you're living in the presence of technology. You're living in the presence of, how to set up the microphone system. How do you set up, the backdrop? How do you set up things that hopefully is going to make your set look presentable, of knowing that your journey is going to start off with technology and start to advance with technology, and also the look. The one thing that you also have to remember is the team, right? Every moment is very important if you have a team that's behind you, right? So when I first started, it was kind of living in a presence back then. I was actually doing the Rico No Suave show from my car, right? And I was giving, like what you're doing, which I really love, is positive vibrations. You're giving these vibrations, you're giving that electricity that you got behind them. And I'm actually in my car and giving really good positivity messages Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I kept going until somebody came and said, "Oh yeah, Rico." I said, "Yes." He said, "I would like for you to join my radio station called Radio Éxito," right? I said, "Okay." Big shout out to my man Juan. But when I was actually doing Radio Éxito, I was scared. I was nervous, Papa. I'm an MC, so I'm an MC like you. So I do big events and things like that. But when it comes to actually getting in front of a microphone and then just standing still, I'm like this, man. When I'm actually doing things, I'm like this. I like to dance. I like to MC. But being able to sit down and talk about a subject, I had to really get it down pat in order for me to say, well, things didn't work out with Radio Éxito. So then what I did was I said, I'm going to start my own show, which was already being done in the car, the Rico No Suave show. So I took it from the car, brought it into the studio, and then and then I was doing this, of course, with my co-host Valerie Moreno, that we actually started this, and we just been, our track record has been really good with getting guests, celebrities, and now until the present now, it hasn't been easy. I mean, if you think about obstacles with a talk show, it's not easy. You got people that come, you got people that go, you got people that invest in you and say, "Hey, we invested in you. We're just going to let you decide what you want to do with it and then go," which is a blessing, right? Which is a blessing as well too. But it's all about troubleshooting.
I want to talk about that, because that's a great way to segue into everything. Now, when you first started your television show, or you can even talk about, the radio station that you had, you probably thought of so many things that could possibly go wrong. And, even though you were confident, you were just thinking about, what can go wrong. When you were starting everything, and I know a lot of people think that the mountain is very big and whatever it is that they want to do with their dreams and their goals and everything. When you were first started, did those things that you were worried about, was that all just made up in your head, or did that actually come to fruition, or were you just hard on yourself before everything happened?
I think it was me being, since I'm a techie guy, so when it comes to me troubleshooting things, I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. This may happen, but I don't know what's going to happen. But what you have to have is a template. Every week, you set up the mic, you set up your laptop, you set up a camera. Every week, right? I usually do it like the night before. Like when I'm setting up, I set up the night before. So when I'm ready to come in and I'm ready for my show, that set is sitting there for at least like 12 hours, right? So it's sitting there. But when you're actually getting started, something might happen with the camera. Now I'm like, okay, what's going on with this camera? Why is it actually happening? So I'm troubleshooting. And then in my head, I'm thinking it's going to happen again the next week. So when I'm thinking that it's going to happen the next week, I'm like, okay, make sure that this camera is like solid, right? This is good. Because when I started, it was only one camera, right? One camera, laptop, and a mixer and a microphone. And that was it. I didn't have a microphone for my guests. And my guests had to actually yell. Like I had to turn up the gain on it in order for me to be able to get that grasp. And people was like, what did they say? And then, of course, my co-host was in the back, and she was just asking questions because nobody couldn't hear her, right? And I'm like, okay, this is not going to go well until we start moving forward. We got the investors. Once we got the investors, they gave us a table that looks like Johnny Carson, right? Back in the day, like big time television shows. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, let's go. We got that. I had a backdrop that I was putting up of the skyline, of course, Chicago. That's where I'm at, right? So of course, having a backdrop and then having different backdrops. What was I thinking? Man, I can't just keep thinking of it as just a regular skyline. I got to do something tropical, right? I got to have a backdrop of La Isla. I have to have something that's in the back end to make people feel good, because we were playing music too. You know, I'm playing salsa, merengue, bachata, reggaeton. I'm playing everything.
While people were talking and you're doing the interview?
So while I was doing that, I had actually background music that was playing really low while they were going, because people in the background was like, man, I'm really engaged in this show because you're playing music in the back end. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I'm going to actually, I'm going to have certain music that I'm going to have played, but during the breaks, we did play music.
Okay.
Right. So during the breaks, we did have music. So of course we turned it up. Now our show was like 2 hours, right? 2 hours long.
What?
And man, I tell you, it was the best show ever, because we actually, the 2 hours, it sounds long, right? Because if we're talking like this for 2 hours, it's like, man,
it flies by.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But with music, it goes by even faster. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're in the background and you're dancing, we're taking photos, and we're having a great time. When we come back, all right, we're back, everybody. Welcome back to the Rico No Suave show, and we're ready to go. So over time, man, it just continued to grow. Start to be investing. I started investing my money into the show, right? And then, of course, that's when we got a new set. Thanks to Beatrice Davis, we got a new set. And then
shout out to, let me give her applause real quick. Sorry, big shout out to her for making this happen. And you know, I want to talk about, before we go further into that, because I know, like you said, it's so easy to just get lost in it, because when you're passionate about it, you just keep going and you want everybody to feel that same passion. But one thing that you just mentioned is, when you're starting with whatever it is in the very beginning, you don't need the best equipment, you don't need the fanciest stuff. Just get started. And whatever it is that you want to do, it could be a television show, it could be a podcast, it can be a new business that you want to start. Whatever it is, please just get started. Don't worry about the fancy bells and whistles. And Rico, let's talk a little bit about who Rico is as a person, because I know, you know, you're beyond the television show. That's just a branch for you, right? That's just one area, because you're a man, and you know, you have so many different facets, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you talk about what are like the top 2 things that you have noticed in your growth, or the top 2 things that have changed the most ever, you know, since you first started your show?
The way that I connect with people. One of the things of having guests on the show is being, I feel like I'm a psychologist sometimes. One of the things is that when you actually are sitting down with someone that says, when they come into, you know, the studio, they're like, hey, I'm nervous. This is my first time doing this. And you don't know that. And I'm like, let's go. And me connecting as far as with their vibe is the number one thing of getting someone comfortable. I think over time, everything has to do with patience, right? Because in this industry, it's fast and it's cutthroat. It's fast, it's cutthroat. And one of the things is that people don't understand that until they get and they come into the studio like, wow, we wasn't expecting it to be like this. I'm super nervous now. And I'm like, yeah, it's only one camera in front of you. Nobody else is here except forget about it. It's just us, you know? And then when it comes down to, you know, them getting the questions from me and my co-host, it's just more of making them feel comfortable. The one thing that I've always learned, though, is that when you give them a question and they give you 2 or 3 words just to answer, you got to be ready to give them something else. Because
yeah, I've experienced that. I know how it is.
It hurts. It hurts. I mean, if you don't continue to go and feed off of that answer that they gave you, then it will never actually, it's going to be crickets. That's all I got to say. It's going to be crickets, and you'll be like, oh, Okay.
And-
That's one thing that I have to say that I love. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, please don't apologize. No, I know exactly what you're saying, because especially if it's a first-time viewer and you're like, well, I just got a new comment or somebody just told me that's the episode that they watched. You're like, man, I promise you it's not always that dry and that bitter. And it's like, yo, you always want to put your best foot forward. And I think that comes from always, wanting the best for ourselves and always just trying to do everything with a life full of passion and positive energy.
Yes,
Talk
sir.
about, did you always have a passion for this? And what is it for somebody that might not know about your show?
Sure.
What is it that people can expect from you from the Rico No Suave show?
Well, one of the things is that it's all about the person's journey, but it's the questions that we ask. The questions that we ask we try not to make it so typical where it's just, well, what is it about your life is different from back then to where it is now, right? Also, we go a little bit deeper into it, and then we freestyle off of that question. So when we freestyle off of that question, you're going to be able to say, oh man, you know what? That's a good question that person that he just asked, or she just asked. And then it gets deeper in that conversation as well too. And I think, the passion that I have for the show also comes from me emceeing. Because when I also MC for like big events, corporate weddings, quinceañeras, and things like that, one of the things is the connection with people when I walk around to the tables and I talk to them. And when I'm talking to them, it's almost like when I bring it back to my show, I'm making everyone feel comfortable. And that's what I want to do for my audience. I want to make sure my audience feel comfortable and they're having a good time. I might tell them to clap and they might be clapping at home, I can't hear them. They might be clapping at home, right? And I just want to make sure that they're feeling comfortable all the way through. So that's really my passion.
Yeah, and I love that too. I want to share a quick story because I want you to share a story from the Rico No Suave talk show. But there was an episode that I did about a year and a half ago, somewhere in that area. And, as we go, it's just worried about the next one and just going on to the next one, learning about the person, having a great show, and so on and so forth. I got an email about 2 weeks ago from an episode that I did a year and a half ago saying, listen, this episode really changed my life. I had so many great, questions, and we connected, and it's just things that you never know, as we were talking about before, what opportunities or how you might be impacting somebody's life. And it's just really one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done, just to be able to share your truth and just to be able to help people change their mindsets. Because we know now, whether it's for financial help, change their mindsets, or to reach happiness, or to start a new business, or whatever it is, you give them the blueprint for that. So, that's one of the great things that I've experienced. And I can talk forever about all of the great experiences that I've had with Weekly Dose of Dano, but can you talk about your favorite moment from your Rico No Suave talk show?
Man, there's a lot of moments. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of moments. There's a lot of great things that we have done from the Rico No Suave show. I think one of the things of, I think you had in one of your videos about a village, right? You talk about a village, and in there you talk about a village in regards to how to build that village, and then all of a sudden, you blossom, and then you're kind of like in this Hollywood, you're kind of in this another area outside the village where you're really successful, but you never forget where you came from, right? I think the moments, as far as there's so many different, and I'm going to name a few. There's one guy that's called the Scary Guy. The Scary Guy is tattooed up, and he's actually got a mohawk, and he has this voice as if he's like from the Transformers, right? And he's from London, right? He's over in London. So he actually said, I'm going to wake up because I want to do your show. I want to do the show because I'm going to be up at 3 a.m. It's going to be 7 o'clock your time, 3 a.m. My time, and we're going to do the show. The one thing about that I really love his presence is because he was able to not take the scary guy. He took the scary guy into someone being positive. So you never judge a book by its cover. And I think one thing as far as what he went through would make people feel like, man, no matter what you are, you're still human. You still look like you want to do something positive, even though you might look scary because you're all tattooed up. But that's the image sometimes that people actually have, they'll see the front cover, but they're really not able to read the book. So, and if they're not able to read the book, that's one thing that I love about his episode, because we were laughing, we were joking, and it was just, we were in love with his voice. But the people also said, man, by him going to different schools, now imagine he's actually going as a public speaker to schools to be able to talk to these young kids, and everyone is like that. And when he starts to talk, he's like a superhero, right? This guy is like a superhero, and the kids just start flocking to him because they're almost like he's a transformer. I'm serious. It's like he is an image that people are not aware of, but it made our show even better because it was almost like it was a flip side of things. You know, it was like, hey, we got someone that's like Hollywood style. We got someone that actually, you know, has wrote a book. He does public speaking. And then all of a sudden, you know, you hear him talking. You're like, man, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
And that's one of the moments. I think that was one of my favorite moments, but there's plenty more, but that was one of my favorite moments as well.
Yeah. And, you know, that's why it's so important to never really judge a book by its cover. I mean, I think we all have heard that before, but, you know, let's take it one step further from that. You never know what you can learn from somebody. That's why, you know, I always adopt this mindset. You know, you got to treat the janitor the same way that you're going to treat the CEO, because they're both, everybody is our best teacher. Rico, you're my best teacher. You know, it could be Beatrice, it could be Joshua right here saying you got to use the sledgehammer, you know, giving me some advice.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
It could be Beatrice. I mean, it could be Patty. All of these things these people are a reflection of ourselves in a way, but just when you go into it with an open mind, you never know what opportunities they might be able to give you. You never know what pieces of golden nuggets you might be able to take going forward. And people are in your life for reasons, seasons, or lifetimes. So when you understand that everybody is teaching you something and you can learn, I think, you know, it's a great way to just be a student of the game of life. Because you never know what you can learn. And if we're going at it from that, you know, from that angle, we can always learn new things, and we can always just capitalize on whatever it is that we want to go through in our life as well. So we're just going to play a quick commercial, quick word from our sponsors, a little commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Like, share, do what you have to do, whatever you got to do to raise your vibrations. And we'll be right back in about 2 minutes. Let's get it, everybody.
Let's go.
Everybody, that was just a quick word from our sponsors. Thank you for our sponsors for sponsoring the Weekly Dose of Dano platform. And now it's time to get right back into it with my guy Rico Extra Suave is what I'm going to call you from now on, because you guys already know that's self-explanatory. You've been seeing it. You've been feeling all the great things and the great stories Rico had to share. So now let's get into it again and
Yes, sir.
expand on some of the things and learn something new about him. If you
Yes, sir.
tune in constantly to his week, hopefully we can, teach you a different side of Rico, or just learn about whatever it is that you need to go about through your day. I was kind of really side note. I was looking at that video earlier of the On the Street segment. And I'm like, damn, I really need a haircut. So I don't know though. I don't know if I want to keep this or, I really need to do something about this.
Keep it smooth. Whatever you do, keep it smooth.
Yeah, you're right. So let's get right back into it. And one of the things that you just said, with Papa, and you said the Isla and Mi Gente, is you embrace that, cultural side of where you're from, and you have that Hispanic pride to you. When I was going in, high school, I can count on my hands on how many, Hispanic people that there were inside the entire school. And when I was going through everything, I didn't really practice the language that much. I didn't really embrace, the heritage and everything. But now, as I'm getting older, I'm like, man, I wish I would have spoken it more. I wish I would have celebrated it. So here's your question is, why do you find it so important to incorporate your heritage and, everything that goes along with that into your show, into who you are?
I think one of the things is that it's all about diversity, right? I think one of the things about diversity is, you look at, someone's color of the skin, you look at as far as the way that they speak, the way that they talk, and it's all about the intellect behind it. And then, of course, when you start speaking Spanglish, people tend to like that because you get a taste of both worlds, right? You're talking English, you're talking Spanish, right? And then what happens is that you want to make people feel that they're comfortable. It's all about being fair, right? And when we do that, be like, oh yeah, mi gente, bienvenido a Rico No Suave show. Yeah, let's go, right? And people dig that because it sticks in their head like, oh yeah, Rico, and then they're like, okay, let's get it, right? But also it tends to bring other people from all diversity, as far as from African Americans, to Caucasians, to, of course, Latinos, right? To even people from India, from Poland, or Polacos, man, and Ukraine. I get them all. And they tend to want to speak Spanish too, right? And the favorite word, un poquito, right? That's okay, So, and it's so cool because people tend to involve themselves. And it's like I said before, this the connection, right? Mm-hmm. Once you have that connection with them, they're like, cool. We just had the presidential candidate for 2024, Robbie Wells, on the show. It's a Blanquito, right? And he's Caucasian, right? Country guy from South Carolina, right? And he was like, he started off and he was talking nothing but Spanish. He started off talking about just in Spanish. He had a couple sentences, and then he was asking for the support and stuff like that. We're like this. Let's go, right?
Yeah.
Go, right? And it was like we wasn't expecting it, but he did it. So that was a freestyle of it, and that's how we bring people together, man. I love that piece. That was hot.
Yeah, I love it. So, and I've experienced people too where they're kind of, there was this one moment, and I'll never forget it, when I was in DC and I was covering the space event, and there was this woman that kind of did the same thing that I was doing. She wasn't, really embracing her Spanish side. So whatever it is that anybody's going through right now, be proud of who you are. And it doesn't really have to be Spanish. Like you just said earlier, if you have Indian roots and Indian races or, African-American, whatever it is, celebrate who you are, because number one, there's nobody else that's like you out there in the world. So you're special. And then number two, you might be giving somebody else the confidence to really follow through with whatever it is that they need to do. And as we all know, if you do it for one person, you can do it to two. You can do it to two, you can do it to 10 to 1,000, and the world will start to change. And, you never know what impact you might be making on somebody's life. Rico, I understand why my hair is acting like this right now. It's hot. It's like 87 degrees right here. I don't have my fan on, and I'm sweating up a storm in here. But you know what they say, if you can't handle the heat, don't be in the kitchen. Yeah, you know about that because you have 2 cooking shows. For somebody that wants to learn more about cooking, can you talk a little bit about your cooking shows that you got going?
Yeah, thank you to Beatrice Davis for putting that in there. I knew she was going to throw that in there too, and that's what I love about her, man. So, I have Cooking with Rico show, and then I have Hot and Sizzle Cooking with the Cause. The Cooking with Rico show, it's all about, and we talk about diversity, right? So I'm cooking, I'm cooking from all over, right? My cooking show is cooking from Pakistan to Mediterranean, of course, to Latin America, to actually soul, to actually Italian. Forget about it. I love my Italianos, man, right? And I'm cooking from all different types. I'm Africa, right, as well too. And I'm cooking so you actually have all of the different cultures in your home. The objective is to be able to bring those cultures together in your home. And this will be like, well, I've never tasted this before. I'm like, oh yeah, you got to taste it. Once you taste it, you may never go back, and I think that's the key. So one of the things about that is that you have to be able to cook in order for people to be able to understand what you're cooking, and also give them the guidance of it as well too. And then at the end, hey, we eat it together, forget about it. We eat it together.
Yeah,
so
where's the gabagool now?
Yeah, so you have to make sure that whatever you're cooking in the kitchen just doesn't have to be the same exact thing as for the whole week. You can think of different things to be able to cook. And then when you're actually cooking, you're cooking with music, with la música, right?
Oh, yeah.
So when we're cooking and we're in there and we're doing our thing, but the cool thing about being a chef though is not just the presentation. It's when people eat your food and if their eyes light up, right?
I think we have a few of those. Yeah, we got a few of those right here. Look, you got people saying the food is delicious. If I ate cooking daily, I would gain weight. Trust me, there's no calorie count. It seems like when you cook, number one, you got that heritage and the good vibrations that's going into the food, right? Yes. And number two, it seems like you measure more with your heart than with your eyes. So, man, we got to lick up one time. You got to show me what it is.
Hey, man, I might have to come down to Philly, Papa. I'm going to have to come down to Philly and cook up some stuff, man. We can even cook on the street. You know what I mean? We can even cook on the street if
Let's
we need
do
to.
it. I'm ready whenever you are, man. Let's make it happen. And like I said, food is very important because just as, as we consume media, as we consume, it can be media, people, anything really. Consumption also comes from food. So, everything that you eat, just make sure that you're doing it in a mindful sense. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my McDonald's. I love, the fast foods and all the greasy, like you said, Philly cheesesteaks. All that good stuff is great, but make sure that you're doing it in moderation. Because I know for me, I'm trying to look right for the summertime. So it's really important to watch what you eat as well. And I really love that. Now, let's pretend there's nobody watching right now. It's just me and you.
Yep.
How many dishes have you burned in your life?
Since there is people really watching, so I would say, how many dishes have I messed up? I haven't really burned anything because I'm very patient.
Yeah,
I can be patient. How many dishes have I messed up? I would say I'm up to right now on my cooking show. I'm up to 45 dishes, right, on my cooking show. So I would say out of that, about 5 of them.
Okay, that's good. Yeah,
about 5. Because I'm very picky, man. When I'm focused, I'm like focused, making sure that the heat is right, and I'm making sure that I'm paying attention. Because when you're actually cooking, of course you don't want to burn your own kitchen. So I mean that's
Well, here it is, Manucci, my guy. I've burned popcorn before. Don't be ashamed. And that's why I asked that question because I know I've burned some stuff and I've messed some stuff up too. So don't feel ashamed. And I really want everybody to understand, like you said, get comfortable in the kitchen. And really the main point is this: you're gonna mess up a few times before you get to that perfect recipe and become a master. And I'm going to take that lesson and apply it to whatever it is that you're doing. You're going to mess up in the beginning. I remember when I first had my first episode, and I know you can attest to this, when you had your first episode, it wasn't really, perfect, but now we needed that to happen to get to where we are today, to show us what we don't want and to learn from that contrast as well. So just get started, man. Well, now Rico, with, there's so many things, like I said, that we can be talking about in this hour. Let's talk a little bit about the inspirations that have come to you throughout your entire process of learning who Rico is as a person. Have you ever had any celebrities that have inspired you? To talk about some of those experiences and those celebrities and the stories of how they inspired you.
I'm gonna shift if I can. I forgot.
Yeah,
to
of
talk about
course.
The second one, the second cooking for a cause.
Oh yeah.
The cooking for a cause. Since you're talking about inspiration, I'm gonna talk about that from a cooking show standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So the cooking for a cause, I tell you, this was my first 80-person homeless event that I did in Chicago. I did it all by myself.
Wow.
So what I did was, I'm sorry if I don't want to make you guys hungry right now, pero I actually cooked. I had chicken thighs. I had 80 chicken thighs, or maybe 80 to 82 chicken thighs. I had it with sazon, garlic powder, and also adobo, right? And I'm having it all mixed up. And I had the sazon, which is the cilantro, right? And of course, you got that nice color, you got the nice taste, and I'm good. That was hard, right? And then I had a Macau rice, which is a Portuguese rice with a Japanese touch to it. And it's coconut, which I love cocoa, right? The coconut with the rice, and it was beautiful. Turmeric, it was so good, so good. But to be able to make all of that, when I went there and I set up, I had my whole videographer team there, and I had the people that was actually waiting as far as for the food. And all these people that I went into this big room, and it was all homeless people, and it was their actually Christmas party. So a big shout out to South Loop organization for putting that together. But what inspired me was me actually treating every single one of them like VIPs.
Mm-hmm.
That inspired me, and the organizer came up to me and she said, "I want you to get on the mic and say something." I'm like, really? You want me to say? I'm just the cook. I'm just the guy that's just cooking. And she was like, yeah, can you please say something to the audience? They want to know who you are. I'm like, okay. So I got my chef outfit on, and I got my hat, and I go out to the beginning. I come out there and I said, hi. And when I said hi,
everybody went crazy, right?
They looked at me and started clapping.
Yeah.
When they started clapping, I said, thank you guys so much for eating my food. But you guys tonight are the VIPs. You guys are VIPs because being in a situation that you're in, we're fortunate that we're in our situation, but you're actually in a different situation that we're in, but we're always here to inspire you to keep going and also do events with these organizations to keep you active, right? And one lady just screamed out, "I love you, Rico. You are awesome. I love your food." And everybody,
yeah,
let's go. Bro, my heart was so touched. It was amazing. And people were coming to where the kitchen was, and someone was giving me hugs, someone was shaking my hand, and it's like, man, thank you so much. I think one guy actually still had a chicken bone in his hand. I was like, bro, you gonna let that go or what? I mean, I don't want you to get, stop,
Yeah. You don't want no lawsuits. You don't want him to swallow the choke on the bone. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody, just to let you know, show's over. I'm booking my ticket right now. Have a good night. I'm going to Chicago. I need to try some of that food. No, I'm just kidding. We still got more time, so don't go anywhere. But I really love that, and I think that's directly with in alignment with what just happened to me today. I just had a call from somebody from my local soup kitchen, and we're in connections to set everything up to have my television show live at their thing. So thank you for sharing that story, because it's definitely a confirmation of what we're going to be doing here. And I'm excited, man. So you're going to have to give me the scoop on what I need to do in order to make sure that they get that good food in there as well. Rico Suave, I want to add, Rico Mucho Suave is what you meant to say. Make sure you say it right. Spell it next time. Rico, man, I just love your energy and the things that you're doing for other people. Very, philanthropic in the energy sense, not even just, money sense. There's so many different ways to give back. And a lot of people don't know, where to start with everything. And like you're just providing examples and leading by example. And that's the best thing that you can do. Let's talk about this. For somebody that's been on your show and, they've seen you through all of your episodes and through your growth. Yeah. Talk about one thing that somebody might not know about you that has, let's say if there's a long-time viewer, talk about one thing that somebody might not know about you from watching your show.
That I'm a salsa teacher.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of
Okay.
people that come on my show don't know that I'm a salsa teacher.
And
And I've been a salsa teacher for over 16 years. So
wow.
yeah, so a lot of people don't know about that. Because when they come on my show, it's all about the interview.
Mhm.
And in Chicago, they consider me as a legend, and I really don't take that, but I love it. I'm humble about it, but I appreciate it. But I've taught a lot of people, and I'm grateful for the people that I did teach. And that's why, of course, dancing in the kitchen is always a good thing, so that goes with the love for food. But yeah, so I've been teaching. I've been teaching from, mostly adults, but I do teach kids here and there. I did something called Date Night with the Kids. Also, I did like a date with your kid where I brought the kids and their parents together. And then when I brought the parents with the kids, they would come and eat first, and then they'll come and we'll do a class together. And then it will be, because, kids sometimes they have, that attention span, but to be able to have fun with them, enjoy it, it can only be for like 30 minutes. You can't have it for longer than that because they want to run everywhere. So I think, from that standpoint of being a salsa teacher, it helps, with the blood flow, and helps with, people with therapy. And, there's people that have taken my class that actually went to my class that was older, like close to 75, and it's their therapy. And I got inspired by saying, keep it going, keep coming to my class, and also keep going to other classes, inspiring to go to other teachers as well. So, you keep that health and burn those calories, right? So keeping that going. So it's, so the salsa teacher is a thing they don't know.
Yeah, and I really love that, because there's so many things with salsa, like you said. Number one, they could taste it in the food, because the love that you have for salsa goes into the food as well. Number two, like you said, you're losing weight. And number three, I think it's a great place for people to connect and really meet new people. And it just sounds like a great thing. So that might be for somebody, if you're watching right now and you wanted to get into salsa classes, just get started. I mean, you could always reach out to Rico No Suave right here. He can give you the first steps, point you in the right direction, maybe find some classes online, or if you're in the area in Chicago, go reach out to him, because you're learning from a master. Wow.
Oh, man,
16 years, man.
I appreciate
and
that.
what doors have that opened for you ever since, talk about the opportunities that have arisen from you teaching other people?
So, it's crazy, because that was my first love, right? Teaching salsa was my first love. A lot of people don't know that, but teaching salsa has always been my first love. And when it came down to me emceeing, that's how I actually got into emceeing. One of my students was getting married in Glenview, Illinois here. And he said, hey, can you come and actually teach a class to get the party started? I'm like, yeah, no problem. Let's do it. I was like, how do I need to dress? I was like, hey, because I usually wear a suit. I was like, you want me to wear a suit? I'll do it, right? He's like, yeah, come in the suit, and then we'll give you a microphone and we'll get the party started. I said, all right, cool. Now, this party was, of course, between Latin, African-American, and Caucasian. So it was a mixed crowd. So I really loved that. And that's how my classes were, right? So when I did my class there, everybody was hyped. They were ready, man. I mean, we were dancing. We were having a great time. It was follow the leader. And then it was just a great time. And then a DJ, Roberto, he came up to me and said, hey, Rico. I said, what's up, Papa? He's like, hey, can you, have you ever thought about being an MC? I'm like, MC like what? Announcing?
Like MC Hammer? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't touch that. You know what I mean? So he was like, yeah, MC for like weddings. I'm like, yeah, I guess. And someone, came up to me and asked me, am I from a talk show? Or they asked me, have I emceed before? And it was a regular guest. And I was like, no, I never. I usually just do it for my classes. And, I put on a show for my classes for people to be able to say, hey, I really love this, and continue. And then after that, I did my first MC gig for an older couple. And that was my first gig. And then people was like, oh, this is amazing. I took my salsa class in the way I dance. I took that into where everything was diverse when it came to R&B, Motown, country music, and people just out there dancing. and just made it a conglomerate of, hey, this is a melting pot for everybody to come and dance and have a great time. So
I love that. Yeah. So, like I said, just get started with it. Thank you so much for being open and transparent, because when I was looking at, your bio and your website and everything, I had no idea. And that's why, it's really important, number one, to not judge a book by its cover, since that's coming up again. And then number two, just to find your passion, because you never know, when you start to live in your passion and you start to live in your truth, other doors will open for you, because you're experiencing fun, you're meeting new people, and you're actually following what you want to do in this world. So we only have a few minutes left, like less than 5 minutes at this point. And we always wrap up the show in the same exact fashion with the same question. And here it is. If there's somebody right now, Rico, that's going through their deepest, darkest moments right now, and they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, what advice do you have to give for them in order to get themselves out of that hole?
Being in a dark place is very hard to be in, because there's depression, there's low self-esteem, and it depends on what your situation is. You have to remember that that tunnel has a light for a reason. That means that whatever that you're doing, you have to be able to ask other people to help you. You're not alone. So you need to be able to at least get some advice. You also need to be able to read some books, right? You might need to get your mind off of what you're going through to understand that sometimes it's temporary for a while. Now, it's temporary for a while until it clicks, where you find a solution in order for you to get to that next milestone. It clicks, get to that next milestone. It clicks until you're ready to get to that finish line. The finish line is never there. Your finish line is always continue, because you're continuously growing within yourself. And then you have to understand, as you continue to grow, you're always learning. Your finish line is multiple finish lines. It's your milestones. Those are your finish lines. So you got one marathon to run, you got a second marathon to run, you got a third one. You keep going, and your depression and the people that's around you, surround yourself with good people, surround yourself with positive people. If you do not do that, you're always going to be in a group of bad influencers. You're going to be in a group of people that's continuously hearing negativity, but there's no positivity. You got to remove yourself. You got to force yourself out of it, but it's going to click right away.
Yeah. I love that. And, one of the things I want to touch on really quick is, like you said, is the milestone. If you think that you're going to get from point A to point B and it's going to be a straight line, you're sadly mistaken, because on that way to that milestone, you're going to have ups and downs, and it's going to look like a heartbeat monitor, right? Because you got the up and downs. And if it's one way and if it's one line on a heartbeat monitor, what do you have? You're dead, and if you're not constantly learning, not constantly growing, it's like you said, you're just going to be in that place, and it's going to be very hard to get out of it. But like you said, just anticipate things are not going to maybe work out the way that you think that they are. Celebrate your victories. And if you need any books, I really love what you said, because I'm in that mindset right now too. I've been reading this one, which is called Grow Rich with the Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. I have another book in the other room. It's called Mindset by Carol Dweck, The Psychology of Success. And I think books are ultimately the best source of information to find whatever it is that you want to do.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Also look at YouTube, motivational speeches.
Mm-hmm.
I work out. When I work out, I'm listening to motivational speeches, but they have the music behind it as well. So I'm a music guy, right? So I love music, but also the motivational speeches as well that you actually hear on YouTube. Check those out. So when you want to hear inspirational speeches, or if you're working out, that's a good way to also get your mind to a different level as well, right? And it keeps you going. Even when you're cooking, if you want to hear some inspirational stuff, look on YouTube, motivational speeches. They got them an hour long, they got 30 minutes, but definitely take advantage of that.
100%. And here's one thing, if you guys didn't know about me, I guess I'll share it. When you talk about music, I'm a really big music guy, and I have my meditation music playing in the background of every show that I do. With music, you got the different frequencies to raise your vibrations. There's one to help you with, whole body healing. There's another one for the, I am affirmations, like you said, to help. I am a better cook, or I am a multimillionaire, whatever it is. Those things seep into your subconscious mind, and that plays out into our 3D world as well. So thank you so much, Rico, for coming on. Where can people reach out to you? Because I'm going to flash them on the screen, but for the ones that are not on the screen, where can people reach out to you at?
All right, so the first one is the RicoNoSuaveShow.com. Everybody, make sure you go ahead and check me out there. You can go, I go live on there as well, so you can actually see the actual show and also my past archives of the show as well too, so you can check out the highlights and all of that great stuff. So the next one is YouTube. Of course, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rico No Suave Show. Please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. También Rico No Suave Show. And last but not least, Mixcloud.com is kind of if you're a podcaster and you're driving safely and you want to actually listen to my show, please go to Mixcloud.com/Rico No Suave Show. Click on that follow, and there you have it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Rico, for coming on today. I hope you guys learned something. You had a great time. I know I did. Rico, don't go anywhere. I just want to talk to you real quick before you go.
Yes,
everybody, please have a great, safe weekend. To my positivity posse out there, thank you so much for coming on, sharing an hour of the time to really feel this great energy and to leave all of your comments and ideas. We really appreciate it. I'm really excited I'm going to go check out that one about the crazy guy, not the crazy guy that you said, but the crazy looking guy. What was his name? Oh, the scary guy, not the crazy guy. Scary guy, excuse me. I'm excited to go check that out. So everybody, please just have a great weekend. Stay safe out there. Make smart decisions. Always follow your heart and follow your intuition, because that's going to take you to where you need to go. Please, everybody, be safe. Come back next week. We have Mark Hoberman coming on the show. And I'm really excited about him coming on. So thank you so much to my positivity posse. Have a great weekend. Rico, thank you so much for everything. And I'll see you guys next week for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. Peace.